So you talk about this shift that happened in 2012. So what was it like before then?
I was living the rat race, work home, gym, work home. And I believe that on a school trip in Machu Picchu, something integrated within my soul. And I realized that that was not living. That was not life. That was that wasn't the way to be. And so from there, the awareness of me and what it means to be me in this body, in this life and time on this earth. What did that look like? What was my legacy going to be when I'm no longer here? What are people going to say about me? What are my children and my grandchildren going to learn from me? Who am I?
Right.
My job is not who I am. What I give to the collective is who I am. So even though it sounds cliche, I do consider myself a healing guide. That's why I'm here. That's what I've been told to do. So everything just clicked. And then you start looking at stuff. And then it comes into the green living. And how is that going to fit into this person that I'm becoming?
Right.
So
was it like a presentation you went with, to a person you saw, and so you were in Peru, you're saying?
Yes,
Okay.
It was a school trip in Peru, and we went to Machu Picchu, and we were just, we had a presentation, we walked around, and there was just like a download, just something that came into my being that your life is not life. This is not how I meant for you as humans to live on this earth. What are you doing? What is this for? Right. You are not what you wear. You are not what car you drive. You are not what phone you have. Who are you?
Right.
What makes you you? And that's when all the other things started to.
And so how big of a shift was that? Was it a whole career change? Was it everything?
Yeah, well, the career change, yes, because I used to be a languages teacher. And I can tell you that the shift from getting a paycheck from somebody else to now you're responsible for your own being is big, but I'm at peace. I live for me. Yeah, I'm at peace now. I'm happy.
Right.
I wasn't unhappy, but it just wasn't it. It was like something was missing.
Right.
So now it's like, yeah, let's get on with it.
So Tracy, what is yoga therapy?
Yoga therapy is a system where we look at a person's mind, body, spirit, and we try to bring it into alignment. And we do that by using yoga postures, meditation, and breath work. However, the system is bespoke. So if you come to me and we are having sessions, my yoga therapy plan is just for you. Okay?
Okay, so it's very individualized.
Yes, it's individualized. We start with an hour where I'm having an intake, a conversation with a client, and I look at their relationships with their families, what they're eating, how they're sleeping, exercise, elimination, supplements, everything. I also look at how their physical makeup and how they are responding to my questions, and just looking at those type of things to decide which type of breath work or meditation and which yoga poses I'm going to give to that client.
Okay, so yoga is therapeutic.
It's very therapeutic.
All right.
It's amazing work.
All right, everyone. So my name is Eugene Dean. I'm the chairman of the board for Green Rock, and today we're speaking with Tracy Gibbons, who's a yoga therapist, and she's going to be present at the Living Green Expo. The Living Green Expo is going to be taking place on January 28th in the Shed in Dockyard. And we're going to have a host of vendors that are dealing with renewable energy, energy efficiency, holistic health, sustainable living, zero emission vehicles, and things of that nature. So today, clearly we're talking about holistic health here, you know? And yoga's become a lot more common these days, but yoga therapy sounds like a relatively new concept. Is this something new, or has this been something that's been around for many years?
It's been around for thousands of years. I think that now people are aware that yoga has more than one branch. So there's yoga, which is the postures, but there's also Ayurveda, which is the more medical side of the practice. And that's where your breath work and your meditation comes in. So for example, if you're a person that's anxious, you cannot just go online and look up any meditation or any breath work. You might choose one that's gonna make you more anxious. A yoga therapist will look at these things and decide which is the best for you. Yoga postures that we use in yoga therapy is not a flow. For example, if you go to a yoga class, the instructor is going to have a specific flow. That's what everybody is doing. In yoga therapy, my postures are going to pertain to you and your needs. That also means that you don't have to have any exposure to yoga before, because everything I do is going to pertain to you and making you healthier. I can look at physical aspects. So if you have back pain or knee pain, but it also can help you with OCD, ADHD, grief, anger, anything like that. I can take the information I have with yoga therapy and create a plan for you that will help you to become more reliable as a person, but reliable to yourself. So you have agency over your own health. Also, the program is changeable. I see a client for about 6 months. If within that 6 months I need to change something, I can do that.
So you can make the adjustments.
Yes, adjustments to anything.
Right. Okay. So over the years, there's been a lot of fear associated with yoga. Some people have been kind of standoffish to it. You know, particularly I've noticed people in the religious sectors, you know, have at times even seen it as something they would deem to be negative. You know, where do you feel that fear comes from?
I think
Comes to yoga.
I think that there's a misunderstanding with yoga and where it comes from and what it's for. I think if people realize that it's used to make people more aware of their bodies and their emotions, and in thus bringing you to a more healthier state, they would feel a little bit more comfortable in trying it. I also think that some people are used to outsourcing their health, whereas for yoga therapy, if you want to see success, you have to do the program I give you. You know, you have to do it for at least twice a week. If you don't do that, you're not going to see the growth and the health that you could see if you continue to work with yourself with the program that's given.
Okay. So it's empowering.
Most definitely.
However, that empowerment requires you to be more responsible.
Exactly.
It's not something that someone else is doing to you. It's something that you're engaging for your own
Exactly.
benefit.
I can give you 2 examples. My first client had OCD. She had already had a therapist and she had had exposure to yoga. I gave her the program. She was very diligent. 5 months, her family was like, I see a really big difference in you and how her OCD manifested in not being able to be in crowds. So if there was any a fair or a lot of people at a game or something, she couldn't handle that. Within 5 months of doing the program, she was more able to be in a crowd without feeling anxious. My other client was kind of, as you say, poking a stick at it. So I was saying, have you done your yoga this week? No, I haven't really. I did some journaling and I did a little bit of meditation. I said, okay, but if you are a bit more diligent, you'll be able to see some changes in the way you're thinking about what's going on in your life, and you're thinking about your health, and you're thinking about, how you can make changes overall. It took her a little bit longer to get to where she wanted or would like to have been.
Right. Okay. So there's the responsibility piece in it all.
Definitely.
So you talked a bit about the difference between yoga and yoga therapy and how it's more individualized and things of that nature. What made you aware of the existence of this modality? And how did you end up getting into it?
Oh, wow. Okay, so my journey into this yogic lifestyle, I would say, because it's not just a physical aspect to yoga. I would say 2012, 13 was when I first took yoga at Flats Fitness. Remember they used to have a studio across from the aquarium?
Yeah.
In the orange building overlooking the ocean. And I was like, wow, everyone needs to feel this way after a yoga class. I call it yoga stoned because you're just like feeling so great and just have a feeling of comfort and bliss. So then I got my certification, my 200-hour with Michael Watson. But then I realized that there were so many more yoga teachers in Bermuda, and I had to find a way to make what I'm doing reach the collective, but in a healing aspect. And I can say that for me, my job on this earth at this point in time is to guide you to heal. And I had to find a way to make that work. So just being a yoga instructor wasn't enough. So I became certified in accessible yoga, which means that I will make sure that yoga is accessible to people who are blind, deaf. You can do yoga with your mind. So if you're in a wheelchair or you're lying on a bed ill, you can still use your mind to look at or feel yogic postures, right? People who you don't usually see in a yoga studio, say downtown, for example, I make sure that my yoga accepts them. My next certification was Ayurvedic wellness coach, which ties into yoga therapy because we're looking at Ayurveda, which is an ancient healing modality from India as well, but the medicinal side.
Yeah.
And what you're looking at is the 3 body types. And the 3 body types help you to decide which meditation, which breath work, which yoga poses are going to best fit this person. So in doing the Ayurveda wellness coach, that actually supported my becoming a yoga therapy and taking that course is really interesting. And to see the changes in people who are willing to take that step, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Right. Well, that's good, So how does this therapy work? What are the mechanisms? What is it doing to people? How are these results being achieved?
Okay, so it's a system, like I said. It looks at your mind. So for example, I had a client who had fibromyalgia, which is term for we don't know what's wrong with you and we don't know what to do. Okay? But giving her a specific meditation, she was like, I don't have that pain anymore because it changes her mindset. Okay? Looking at the yoga postures, if you are a person who's sad and that means your heart chakra is closed, then I'm going to make sure you have postures to open up your chest. You may not realize that's what I'm doing, but I'm going to have you to open up your chest and open up your mind to accepting more love and letting the grief go. Okay? The breath work is important, I think, because a lot of people, when they have had traumatic experiences, they don't breathe properly. And if you don't breathe, you can't bring that fresh energy and prana into your body. If a person's anxious, they hold their breath. Right? So you're not thinking, you're not breathing. So I would help you it's interesting watching someone's belly go up and down and you're like, okay, can you take a deeper breath? Can you hold that and make them more aware of their bodies? I think a lot of things that are happening nowadays is that people aren't tapped into their body. They're not aware of how they feel. You might have had an experience where you were in an accident or somebody died and you're not in your body because you're so overtaken with an emotion. People aren't aware that emotions sit in your body. So, for example, kidneys hold fear. Your heart, your lungs, your breasts hold grief. Liver is anger. So if you're having issues with these organs, then it might be beneficial to look at the emotions, where that came from. A lot of times it's your childhood, how you grew up. That's really interesting.
Right. So you get into all of that then. You know, so how do people access this? Is it, you know, is there like a whole consultation first, or is there like, how do people access it?
And so we have a consultation for about an hour, and that's when I ask you lots of questions. I look at how you were raised, your relationship with your family, what you eat, how you sleep, exercise, elimination, your job, supplements, drugs you might be taking, and if you've already been diagnosed with something, like by a psychiatrist or by a doctor, I would look at that background as well, because the medication they give you usually looks at that. And from that information, I decide, usually takes me about a day or two, I decide which, it doesn't take me a day or two. I'm going to be honest. My intuition usually kicks in and I'm like, oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. And then I sit with it for about 2 days. And usually I don't change it. So then I can figure out, okay, so this posture, yes, this meditation, this breath work, and that's what I give the person. I don't hold on to any information. If you come to me, Eugene, this is your plan, Eugene. You are now involved in your health. This is for you.
Right.
So.
And so is there something where people do these practices with you, or is it something that they do on their
own? Okay, so they see me for 6 months, and they come to see me twice a month. It is expected that they do it on their own twice a week. You don't have to do everything the same day. You decide what's going to work for you. You wake up early, you do your postures, or you decide you're going to do your meditation. It's up to you. However it happens, it has to happen if you want to bring your body, mind, and spirit back into alignment. If you want to bring everything on a healthy level, it's all up to you.
Okay. So it's a combination of, it's kind of like, you know, you go to your teacher and you get homework.
Yes, exactly.
So this is kind of like the personal responsibility part. So in terms of the Living Green Expo, you know, what can people expect from you when they come to the event? Like what do you intend on providing at the event?
I'm really excited to be a part of this because people don't know that it's out there. And I think people are looking more to be involved in their own health and their own healing. So I am going to provide a workshop on anxiety. So specific postures, breath work, and meditation. If you are a person that does have some issues with your body, kneeling, your back, I can amend those postures when the time comes. But anxiety, I think, is something that's been coming up more recently. So yeah, breath work, meditation, and yoga postures for anxiety. I think it's going to be amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So people can look forward to a good presentation from you, demonstration, and also be able to come to your booth and learn more about your services. So can you tell people like how they can get in touch with you, where they can find more information about your services and things of that nature?
Okay, so I am working on my website. I am not a technical person, but I can be reached on Instagram at HVN and Earth. So HVN for heaven, HVN and Earth. on Instagram, on Facebook, Heaven and Earth Creative Healing Solutions. Or you can send me a WhatsApp, 747-2517, and or an email at hvenandearth@gmail.com.
Okay. All right. And what's great is that, just for the audience, we're also building a directory for all of the vendors, the practitioners, the service providers who participate in the expo. So you'll be able to come to our website, greenrock.org, and find out more information about everybody that's involved, including Tracy, who's obviously offering some wonderful services through yoga therapy. So just kind of wrapping up, could you just share with the audience like any advice you have and how you feel that they can benefit from engaging in the services that you provide?
So if you are looking for healing and you want to be in charge of your own health, you make the decisions, then give me a call. I will guide you to heal. I provide the information for you, and I provide those things so that you can heal yourself. Okay, so if that's what you're looking for, if you would like to have guidance using yogic understandings, remember that yoga and Ayurveda are over 5,000 years old. I can definitely help you with that. I'd be happy to help you with that.
And I heard you talk a bit about accessibility, and you talked about even mobility. You talked about age. So I'd like for you to reinforce that a bit more. Like, is yoga therapy accessible to all ages? Is it a certain age you should be before you start?
Yeah, I can work with students. So especially with anxiety exams and things like that, or just not having a good time at school, I can work with students. I have older people, younger people. It doesn't matter how old you are. If you want to start your healing and you're 85, let's go. Let's do it. So it doesn't matter if you're in a wheelchair, if you are a person who is hard of hearing, if you're in a body you're not happy with, I can help you to become healthy and happier in your body, in the way you're thinking, how you access your emotions. And just guiding you to heal.
Right. So say someone's watching this, they already do yoga. They do yoga on a regular basis. Is it still beneficial for that person to come and see someone like yourself in addition to the yoga practice that they're already doing?
Of course. If you're a person who is already practicing yoga, yes, there are some things you know about yoga, but a big part is missing. And that's the healing aspect. Yoga is not just for stretching. It's a healing modality, but it's part of the Ayurvedic model. So if you're a person who would like to gain a deeper understanding of yoga, of the yogic theories, of how it's used, give me a call. Please come and see me. I'd be happy to share everything that I have learned with you. I would guide you to healing with the utmost of respect and love.
And just kind of like in closing, I guess, how long have you been in this area? We kind of loosely call this I guess for the expo, our whole mantra is live naturally, sustainably. So we're talking about natural and sustainable living. How long have you existed in this space in Bermuda, and what's your experience been like, shifting to dealing with,
So as I said to you before, yoga is a lifestyle.
Right.
So 2012 was when I got my first certification, but then I started looking at the products I put on my skin, where I buy my things from, how it's affecting the environment. And for a while, it was difficult to find things in Bermuda, for example, green products for your green beauty. Couldn't find anything. And then when you start researching, you're like, that company uses animals, that company uses this product, things like nail polish or just like face cream. So it started with that. It started with, what am I eating? Looking at the back of you don't buy anything in a box anyway, but looking at the back of the products when you got into the store. So which coconut oil am I going to buy? This one or this one? Is this olive oil real, or is this olive oil been mixed with other things? Just becoming more aware of what you're eating and where it comes from. I used to use an app called Boycott, and you could plug in whether you wanted to see if they use GMO or slave labor, for example. And then I would go around and scan all of the products, but then it changed how I bought things. So I don't buy things that are at eye level, the Campbell's, the Hunts, go down below, or you go up top, because those are the ones that haven't been advertised for and are usually better for you. Then you start thinking about how much water you use. Do you buy things in plastic bottles? Do you buy things from glass? Are you recycling? It's like this whole, how are you treating other people? Because within yoga, there's the 8 limbs of yoga, which is really interesting because it's just how you treat people, but starting with how you treat yourself and animals and the environment. How do you love Gaia? Do you throw your trash on the ground, or do you pick it up and wait till you get home, or find a trash can? To all of these things just like becomes a lifestyle and not just a thought process.
Right.
So yeah, it's 2012 and just making these little steps. It's hard to do everything all in one go. You can't do it all in one go. So this month, I'm going to look at how am I moisturizing my skin? Okay, start there. This month, I'm going to shop at Orange Bay. Okay, great. So, It's been a while. It's been a while. Just become more aware of your habits and how they affect people, how they affect the environment, how they affect the world.
Well, give thanks, Tracy.
Yes,
Yeah,
you too. Give thanks.
That's beautiful. And I think what Tracy has shared is a very important point, because even I get asked the question about this initiative of why or how do all these elements connect, and, Green Rock is an environmental charity, and now we're talking about holistic health and natural health and beauty, in addition to talking about things like renewable energy and energy efficiency and organic farming and things of that nature. But as Tracy just described, all of these things are connected, and our mantra at Green Rock is changing mindsets. And as we become more conscientious in one area, it's just natural for us to become more mindful and more conscientious in other areas as well. Because as we were just discussing, all of these elements connect. And so the idea of this Living Green Expo is to give all of us an opportunity to immerse ourselves in an environment where we're surrounded by all the products and services and people, and activities that can support us in our journey of looking to live more in harmony with nature, or natural living, and living more sustainably, which is more mindful. And as Tracy has said, the most important product in all of that is ourselves. We ourselves have to manage renewable energy, which is why sleep is important. So all of these things are there for us to consider. Thank you for watching today's show. Thank you very much, Tracy.
Thank you for having me.
For joining us. And I look forward to having you at the Living Green Expo. We're all very excited about the event, and we encourage the public to come out and get involved. So please go to our website, www.greenrock.org. There's a number of activities that you can sign up for. You can take a yoga practice in the morning. You can do Qigong. You can get involved in a 5K walk and run. We have a bike ride that's coming from Hamilton or into Dockyard. And then you'll be able to enjoy a vegan food court with all sorts of plant-based meals and healthy drinks, and a vendor village that will have lots of people like Tracy open and willing to share everything about the products and services they offer and how they can add value to your life and the life of your loved ones. So thank you for joining us today. Give